If you hear, you know what it is. The Big Vibe with Tev and Ty. Up to episode 17 now. I think, how many weeks in a year? 53. We're almost at like the kind of halfway point of a 6-month kind of vibe. Yeah, man. It feels like so much longer, but so much shorter at the same time, if that makes sense. I don't know if you know what I mean. You hear with your boys. I thought there's a cool podcast that I listened to that has the guy focuses on like introductions, and when we have guests, I'm gonna hype them up with
Yeah.
proper introductions. But yeah, you hear with your boys, Tasty Tev. I think that's what I'm gonna be calling you from now on. Tasty Tev and your boy, you'll come up with one for me. But yeah, today's episode is going to be largely Premier League centric. You know, we feel as if we need to touch base on things that we said in the past. With the end of the transfer window, it felt like a really good time to talk about it. But before we get to that, well, in line with that, our what the fact for today. So I'm not sure if people saw this, but obviously with the January transfer window coming to an end, all the math has been put together and all the sums have been done. And the fun fact, or the what the fact, I think what the fact is a lot more appropriate with this one. The top 5 leagues outside of the Premier League, so that means La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, League One, and Primera Liga, collectively spent £255.3 million in January. The Premier League spent £736 million in January.
Super League is alive and well, bro.
Super League is alive.
Honestly.
I think that's why they fought it.
Yeah.
Because they knew, you know, like they are the Super League. And you were actually just off air. Maybe you want to share with our listeners the kind of broadcasting rights, because I don't think people outside of England know. So how does it work?
Yeah, so I think we're so accustomed to back in SA that SuperSport, our football broadcaster, owns the monopoly owns the monopoly of sports coverage. So with SuperSport, you'd be able to essentially watch every single game that the Premier League is showing, and with there being multiple games a day, you have access to each and every one of those. Yeah. And when I came over here, I thought, okay, cool, well, surely that's going to be the same theme here with Sky.
Drinking from the source, man.
Exactly, man. Sky Sports News. You guys are playing on SuperSport. You guys have your hourly slot every day. So surely you guys are going to follow suit. But it's actually so different, yeah? So how it works is, in terms of the scheduling, they'd have a 12 o'clock game or a midday game.
Yeah.
And then for the afternoon games, your 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock games, they don't show that at all on air. So that's Sky Sports, BT, Amazon, any of the broadcasters don't show any of those games because they try to encourage people to go into football stadiums. So try and encourage bums on seats, and then they'd play one evening game. And I also thought now, well, given that SuperSport shows all the games, that Sky would follow suit. No, Sky has a certain amount of games a year. I think they probably get about 60% of the games a year. BT Sports would say get another 30% and then another 10% for like Amazon.
Okay.
And what I've found is that the broadcasters have quite a big say in the scheduling of those games. So when there's a game postponement or rescheduling of the game, be it due to unforeseen circumstances like the Queen passing, be it that teams are now double booked, so to say, because they're in so many competitions, the broadcasters have a say and they essentially communicate and tell the Premier League when they'd be able to show games. So as an example, we had booked a game to go and see City versus Arsenal. As an example, it's supposed to be a weekend game, and that's now moving to a midweek, late at night. So I just find it so fascinating that there can be so much power given to these broadcasts. But I guess that makes sense given how much money people receive from broadcasting rights.
If you want to watch, though, do you have to have subscriptions to all these
Sky
Sports? So what subscriptions do you have, or where are you bootlegging from?
So I'd go to the pubs The
Okay.
pubs are the free to air from a viewer's point of view.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
buy a subscription for each and every one of these. So
Okay.
I think the irritating part, and that's what I find a lot of the Brits are saying, is that even if I'm paying, say, £60 for a Sky Sports package, I'm not guaranteed to see all the games.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
only see um, X amount of games, those
Yeah.
being early games or the late kickoff. But even then, if I'm wanting to see a North London derby,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
specific weekend, I possibly can't see it because it's on
Yeah.
BT and I only have a subscription to Sky Sports. So
It actually
it is a
sounds. It sounds quite similar to the American system. Like they have ESPN, obviously, then they have
yeah.
TNT, and they have all the different ones. But overall, you could get an NBA pass, and then you
Uh,
could have access to all the games. So maybe they'll be doing something like that. But I mean, I think that just goes hand in hand with the giant that we're talking about. Like when we talk about the money, when it comes to like the transfers and stuff. I
yeah.
mean, this is
Oof.
money that we don't know about. I know, like, if you come last in the Premier League, I think you get like 120 million pounds or something like that as a team. I think you get more for coming last than you do for winning the Champions League financially.
That's, yeah,
Um,
that's true.
I don't know,
That is
bragging rights
honestly
and obviously attracting
sickening.
players and all that's all different. But I mean, that's you're talking
That's
big money
sickening.
here.
It's sickening.
Yeah,
And yeah, and they've done the price comparisons in terms of salaries. So I think they said if you're playing in League One, which is
yeah.
the third tier of English football, you could probably be on the same pay scale as like the Premier League of Italy or Spain or
Jeez.
France. So if you're not
I
one of the
mean,
big
that's
teams, let's say you play for Rennes as an example, you'd probably be on par with someone that's playing for Blackpool United or Derby or something like that in terms of your
probably why
salary.
though.
Just
Like
because there's so much money in it.
yeah, but that's probably why your Nottingham Forest and those guys are pulling these players. You know, like they
Yeah,
can actually offer them pretty decent
100%.
wages, and I think the clout of playing in the Premier League is just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, who said colonization was over? Um, but before we get too heavily into the transfer window, we spoke about accountability last week.
Nice.
And yeah, you wanted to hit us up there.
Yeah, so accountability, I mentioned last week that I want to try and learn a bit more about Resolve. So this week, I'm trying to get to grips with Fusion, which is essentially the motion graphics element of it. So my goal for this year, as I'd work on it incrementally, is to try and work on our intro and outro logos. So if I can bold that in DaVinci Resolve, piece by
Okay.
piece. If I have other smaller projects, I might share that with our viewers.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I'm going to put down our logo. By the end of this
Okay.
year, it will be reanimated.
Okay, but you have to have something, because next week if I ask you what you're doing and you're like, oh, but I said I'm working on this thing for a year, you have to have
I
something for
might
me
give you some
there.
creative. I might give you some creative writing there.
Okay, so one of the
I
two
might
things you're
flip it
gonna
up.
give
One of the
me.
two, it's going to come next week. And then on
Okay,
your side, I know you were busy with your website. You're writing a
yes,
piece, especially the one addressing that people have specific roles, and that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What have you done on that? Any
So the
progress there?
website is almost done. Logo
Nice.
developed, name developed, idea developed, piece written,
Nice.
accompanying video created. I actually took an extract from part of the pod. And I am going to be bold enough to say that in the description of this video on
Oh, yeah?
YouTube will be the link to that
Hmm.
website. And I want to make this clear, at the time of recording, it's not ready. It's not ready yet. So I'm actually putting myself under some pressure there. Um, so Tev, don't edit this video too quickly. Like I won't be ready like Monday or Tuesday. So if the people wait, it might be due to me, not due to you. But yeah, I want to put the link in the
Nice.
bio of this one, because I want to
Questions
create
to
a
the
whole,
virtual.
yeah, I want to create a whole thing out of it. Like obviously I want to create probably a Twitter account. I'll have to make a YouTube page for it to upload the videos,
Yeah.
because in order to build onto Wix, you need to have a YouTube link that goes into it. So I'll
Okay.
need to create a new YouTube channel for just for
Hmm.
that, and a Twitter
Okay.
account and all that. But I'm kind of getting there. I'm almost at the end. So the piece
No.
is written. and it's ready to, and I've got the idea for the second piece. So it's there, and yeah. So click that link and let me know what you think.
Nice, guys. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us
We'll
know,
talk more
man.
about the name and stuff next week. And
Really
why
looking
I,
forward to it.
yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Thank
So
you,
keep your
thank
eyes
you.
peeled for that. It's going to be a really, really good one.
We hope.
Oh, man. And I know you did mention that in the course of it, you're going to be talking about Arsenal
Yeah.
with your big love for Arsenal. So let's continue that theme. And in speaking about Arsenal, we have to bring it back to the transfer window that is closed this week. We're at now the winter transfer window, and let's actually start with Arsenal before we get onto the headline splurges of this window, that being Chelsea. But Arsenal, you guys
Okay.
made some really good business. I think getting in the likes of Trossard, I think, is a really, really good player, very exciting player, and is one of those wingers that aren't afraid to attack defenders. You like to see it, and I think that's kind of the mold that we see in Arsenal wingers these days with Saka, Martinelli, guys that have the confidence to take on a man and go for goal. I mean, previous years there would be some complaints or arguments that Arsenal are quite a sideways team. So the fact that now it's become very honed in as being direct, using the width of the pitch.
Yes.
We've seen the results of all that. So give me your thoughts and opinions on the Arsenal transfer
window. Okay, so I want to premise this whole thing. I've thought about this a lot. Obviously, I want to premise this whole thing with a few things. So going into the transfer window, like in end of December, even with Gabriel Jesus's injury and stuff. If you had said to me at the beginning, if you had asked me this question before the January transfer window, how many players do you think we are going to sign? I would have said one. I would have said we're going to sign one attacking player. That would have been my thought, right? So the fact that we've signed 3 is absolutely incredible. All right. So let's start with, before we talk about the 3 players that we signed, I want to say that a lot of Arsenal fans are upset that we didn't get Mudryk and that we didn't get Caicedo when we threw our hat into the ring for that. All right. On Mudryk, I think it was a very messy affair. Everything that was going on with Shakhtar Donetsk and everything was a mess for Arsenal. It wasn't working. We were there. It was literally, I went to bed. Arsenal are getting close. I woke up the next morning and Fabrizio Romano was all hijacking
Here we go.
people and what's all that, right? And I believe the only difference in the deal was that Chelsea was able to pay. They're paying it in lump sums, but they were able to pay more upfront than Arsenal was willing to.
Okay.
And I believe that they offered him a better contract on personal terms because the guy was twerking for Arsenal since day one. And with everything that's going on in the Ukraine and everything, I feel like you can't blame a 21-year-old for making the decision that he did. I have no ill intent towards him. I don't want him to fail. I have none of that. I feel like with what's going on in the Ukraine, you offer a 21-year-old basically that his future is going to be waxed. I feel like you just can't blame him for making that decision.
True. Didn't they give some of the transfer money to the Ukrainian public, Shakhtar?
They say they did, and I'm pretty sure they did. I don't think they're lying. So it's all good. It's all good. I wasn't too upset. Also, it was a lot of money for a very unproved player. I know you can't really look at the numbers. Yesterday against Fulham, he didn't have a great game, but it's not enough, obviously. And if you look at Arsenal this season, what we need is we're trying to win the league, and we need impact. We need players that are going to do it. Who do we know more is going to do it? Leandro Trossard or Mykhailo Mudryk? Mykhailo Mudryk in the long term, for sure. But the next 6 months, which is crucial for our push for a league title, which we haven't won in 20 years now.
20 years.
I'm going to take Leandro Trossard all day. He's already come in. He's comfortable in the league, so I'm happy with that one. Caicedo and Jorginho. Caicedo also was a last minute because Elneny got injured. So then we decided, okay, we're going to need someone, right?
Some cover there. Yeah.
Brighton was very clear that they didn't want to sell him. Fair enough. Apparently, Arsenal and Brighton have hurt their relationship a little bit with Arsenal's insistence on this purchase. But you know what? It's okay. I think Brighton has really shown that they're not a team that will be messed with and that they'll get their price for their player.
Yeah,
I think he's what do you call it? He
his agent.
changed agents. I think they kind of
Mm.
messed it up a little bit with making him because he didn't write that Twitter or Instagram post.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were also interested. There's very strong links to us between us and Declan Rice. And
Okay.
the message was that the message that Arsenal was happy to leave in the air was that we buy Caicedo now and we get Declan Rice in the summer. In reality, do I think that would have happened? No. Would I take Rice over Caicedo? Yes. So same thing with the impact discussion that we had earlier. I think Jorginho still got some quality. We're also in a position now where we have a lack of experience, and you're bringing in a champion. Look at what Zinchenko and Gabriel
Champions
Jesus
League.
have
And
done for
yeah.
Arsenal with their mentality. Now you're bringing in Jorginho, who's got that same kind of mentality. And a lot of Arsenal fans are getting it wrong. We're not looking to replace Partey. We're looking to support him, and
Mm.
Jorginho can definitely play that role. So I'm happy. I'm stoked. 12 million pounds, we good. We good there.
Yeah.
So, and just before the last signing, I know I'm talking a lot, but now this is our moment, and this is what we want to talk about. But before I pivot into like the third signing, I also want to say the fact that Arsenal, there's been so many transfer windows in the past where we've needed someone, we've not got the guy that we wanted, and we got nothing instead.
Yeah.
The fact that we managed to pivot and get two quality players into the door before deadline day, what more could you want? And like I said at the beginning, I thought we were going to get one player, and we got three in
Yeah.
vital positions. So Jakub Kiwior, I don't know much about him. He played a lot for Poland in the World Cup. He's broken Arsenal's records for like sprinting and all these things. So apparently he's good. I watched
Mhm.
a scouting video on him. He can ping the ball across the. He looks quality. He's not going to be the season changing player, but he's going to
Yeah.
allow us to rest Gabriel Magalhaes or William Saliba in the Europa League, depending on how far we get. Stoked.
Okay.
Stoked. For me, it's a if I had to give it a number out of 10, I'm going an 8 or a 9. As a transfer window,
Yeah.
as a whole, I'm very happy. I trust Edu. I've always loved Mikel Arteta. So yeah, I'm stoked and I'm feeling psyched for the rest of the season, cuz I really am. How do you feel as a Man City fan with our business?
I think you guys did well. I think you guys did really well there. The likes of Trossard, I think, was a really good buy, and I think, like you said, he's gonna be very impactful in your charge towards the Premier League. He's great cover, and I think with you guys playing both, you guys are still in Europa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Europa and the league. So going for the double there, I think he's going to be quite a pivotal player, especially in a league, or let me say a campaign like this that has a bit of disruption in between. Also a notably proven player. I think he's shown that this season as well. Just how versatile he is and comfortable he is in those attacking positions, and how he performs against the big players,
Yeah.
or the big teams rather. We saw he got a hat-trick at Anfield, which is one of the notable performances this season. So I think really good buy. Jorginho, it makes sense, because remember, Jorginho is not going to be the replacement or the one that's starting every single game. He needs that cover and experience, and I think in terms of stats, him versus Partey this season are actually quite similar.
Yeah.
So I think people need to give him a bit more credit there. He is still performing at a really elite level, despite his age. I think that was one of the concerns for Arsenal fans, is that you're bringing in an aging player. I think they've been burnt a few times with they call it the Chelsea.
The retirement home.
But I think that was a notable buy. So I think Arsenal, it really went to show Arsenal's seriousness about this league.
Yeah.
Previous seasons, they'd, like you say, just kind of move on with it and be like, well, if you're asking me for 51 million as opposed to 50, I can only offer the 50. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away, and that's the end of the business. So it really is showing how serious Arteta is, how serious Edu and the rest of the management is about this league. I think Arsenal have a really good chance at going all the way with this one.
Hey, we'll talk about we'll get
talk
more
about those
specific.
predictions. And now we can't talk transfer window without chatting about Chelsea. Man. In this window alone, I think they spent over 300 million pounds.
Yeah.
So they're notable transfers this season. The headline one being Enzo Fernandez. I think he's now the British record of Premier League all-time most expensive player at 105 million or something like that. Thoughts on him?
I think Benfica has once again shown that they really also, like Brighton, they know how to do business. Rui Costa, I think, has done well in that case. I know he played a notable part in Argentina, and I do think he's quality. I really do think he's quality, and I do think he'll make a difference in that squad. I just can't help but feel cynical because Chelsea was super annoying, especially as an Arsenal fan, man. They were just super annoying. They just every time we were interested in buying, I saw this one joke where someone posted, they were like, breaking Todd Bowley trying to hijack the Jorginho deal. I was just, from that perspective, I really felt annoyed by their, and this whole financial fair play thing and the way they're getting around, I just think it's just not on, man. I really don't like it. I said it in the episode, it was episode 2 we spoke about the Premier League, I think. I said it back then that Todd Bowley has this like boisterous, like, no offense if we do, I don't even know if we have American listeners, but this super like arrogant, boisterous American attitude, slap my wallet, my big fat wallet, and throw it on the table and I can do whatever I want. And I really, really don't like it. It's like, and they even, they've been teasing Graham Potter quite a lot, even
the press conferences.
It's quite funny. And you can't blame him, but I mean, we can talk about them all in detail. But I mean, here, if you want to talk about numbers, it's Enzo Fernandez, which was 106 million, Mikhailo Mudryk, 88.5 million, Buddy Shile, I guess, Monaco, 35 mil. David Fofana, we don't know how much. Andre Santos, who's that young Brazilian, I think they were talking about 20 million euros there. Joao Felix, just a loan, very expensive loan. Noni Madueke, PSV, 29 mil. Malo Gusto, Lyon, 26.3 million. I guess the one funny thing to come out of Chelsea's transfer window is that Aubameyang's been dropped from the Champions League team.
I don't know if you saw that.
The guy's clowning out here, man. But anyway, I don't know, man.
It's not personal.
I don't know, man. Like, I also find, obviously, people are going to be making jokes, but I find it quite laughable that they drew to Fulham, this weekend.
This big splurge.
To be fair, they were never going to be gelling first game, and it's ridiculous. They're building for the future. They bought young. There's no, and I think we sour because we're not Chelsea fans. Let's be real.
Yeah, you must give them credit, man. Like, this approach, as much as you hate it, they found the loophole, they're exploiting the loophole, and yes, like, that's great business to make the most of it now. Obviously, FFP will now change a few things and reassess things, but I got to give them credit. The amount of business they've done in this window is extraordinary. So, shout out to KG. KG, you sent us a DM saying that Chelsea essentially won this window because they've signed pretty much everyone of interest. So it's actually true. I think long term they are going to do really well. I think if they can get some kind of gel between the players this season, they'll be quite a notable force for next season. But
it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. Not Todd Bowley. Graham Potter did say in an interview that we can't, and obviously you can't, but you shouldn't expect this kind of transfer window every, and you can't say that you look at that Chelsea team and think that they didn't need an overhaul. They kind of did. In a lot of ways, they're really struggling. I think they should back Potter and give him time. But the man has aged. But he looks sick, man. He looks sick. He looks ill when I see him. But anyway, I think they should give him time. And now they've bought him a few new toys to work with. And yeah, man, I actually think as annoying as they were, I
Mm,
think they did well.
yeah.
They
I
did
think if you
well.
have the means, I think we always come back to it. If you have the means, I speak as a City player. People say, "Oh yeah, Daddy Shake will just give you another 100 mil here. I can buy
Yeah,
whatever player you want." So, if you have the means, you're gonna spend it, man.
yeah,
I don't, um, I can't hate him for doing exactly that.
yeah.
But yeah, very exciting players in Fernandez. I think Mudryk is one to watch out for. I heard that the Fofana that they bought that's a striker is also quite lively.
Okay.
Interesting to see how they integrate with the team thus far.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
That
interesting
is
to
quite, it
see.
was quite a good one. Let's do Man United, if you're good with that.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
they obviously their biggest piece of business, I would say, was getting Ronaldo out
yeah,
for me, I would say. And they brought in three players. They brought in Jack Butland, and I think that's because Newcastle recalled who was their keeper? Dubravka, wasn't it? Anyway, whoever they had is they had signed another keeper as their lone keeper, and he wasn't getting playing time. So whoever it
yeah.
was called them back, and then they got Jack Butland in on loan.
Yeah, also not a bad
Yeah,
keeper.
it's a whole. So Man
Oh,
United
sorry,
didn't.
Dubravka. Yeah,
Yeah,
Dubravka.
so it was Dubravka. So and Man United didn't make any purchases. They also brought in Wout Weghorst, also on loan, and then with the late injury to Christian Eriksen, they brought in Marcel Sabitzer from Bayern Munich on loan.
Not a bad player.
Not a
Pretty
bad
decent.
player.
I think especially his time at Leipzig.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah.
was doing bits there. I don't think he's kind of lived up to that at
Yeah.
Munich.
Mm.
But
See, a
really
lot of
solid
players
player.
actually kind of slip through the cracks at Munich, though.
I think once you kind of elevate yourself to that team, and especially when you're not the center
Yeah,
of the team anymore,
yeah,
that does kind of affect confidence, I'd say.
yeah.
But pretty good business there, I'd say. And they're on
What?
the up and up as well, man.
Yeah, I really think Erik ten Hag is doing a great job. I really, really do. I must give him credit. I'm not a fan of United fans in general, but it's difficult not to look at them and to see that there's a difference. Marcus Rashford looks like a new player.
Mhm.
Some players are gonna go, and I think he has a very much like a Mikel Arteta-ish thing about he's like, if you're not up to it, and he always speaks about it like he never speaks badly of players, and he always is like they're gonna try, and they need to elevate their game.
Yeah,
Dropping Harry Maguire when he did. He made some really big calls that I know a lot of people were calling for him to do, but. Yeah, and I also noticed with this transfer window, have you noticed the change in how many? I don't remember there being as many loans in the
that's the thing.
previous.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been
you'd
quite a
always have
big.
full-on transfers. So I
Mm,
think
mm,
in the kind of financial space that the world is in right now, we're seeing a
yeah,
lot more loan deals being
yeah,
done.
yeah. I think for me, it will be interesting to see what Man United does in the summer. I think that this was a decent transfer window for them. I think they didn't panic, which I think was very important.
Yeah,
So Wout Weghorst, what's he really going to offer you? They really want him to be a hold-up player to allow Rashford and
Rashford and Anthony
whoever
or
they play,
Martial or
yeah.
whatever.
Because Anthony, I think, is not living up to it right now. Actually don't think he's great. When he made Thomas Partey look fast compared to him, I'm like, man, what does this guy do? I really don't like Anthony. But anyway, they plugging holes. We'll see how
Hmm.
Sabitzer does there. In that role. But I
Come
think,
back.
yeah, like I said, it's important that they didn't panic and they did well in that sense. I'm really intrigued to see what they do in summer. I think there's going to be some
Yeah,
big
I definitely
shuffles.
think big number 9 coming in, a
Mm-hmm.
notable one.
Mm-hmm.
There's been talks about it being Kane. There was talks
Osimhen.
about it being, yeah,
Yep.
who's, yes, having an incredible season. My goodness,
Yeah.
that man and that team are on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be a really interesting summer. I'd say out of 10, I'd probably give this about a 6,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, we must go back and do
Maybe.
Chelsea. I think for me, I'm closer to
Yeah.
7 because
Okay.
not in terms of the quality of the player, but just their general demeanor and the fact that
Yeah.
I feel like they were controlled about it. And
Yeah.
yeah. And before we go back to Chelsea, I want to ask you, Mason Greenwood has been cleared of all these charges. I'm sure you saw. But I
I heard about
believe
that.
Man United has said that we want nothing to do with him. I think. I could be wrong. What do you think about that? How do you deal with this? Or what do you think, you know, like,
I
what's the
think
right thing?
like there's there's evidence to point to the contrary. Despite charges being dropped, we have evidence against him. So I thought they would have cut ties. I thought they would have terminated. I saw another person tweet it as well. They said, "Oh, okay, so after it took Cristiano Ronaldo an interview to get his contract terminated by the club, but yet you have a accused abuser here,
Yeah,
and despite the charges being dropped or the evidence presented against him, and he's still in contract."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Likewise, with the Mendy case,
yep,
I heard that some of his charges also got dropped. But I mean, with there being so much overwhelming information
yep.
and evidence to support the case against him, I don't see how you'd want to still have active ties with players like this.
Yeah, and I feel sometimes it
Honestly,
goes beyond
terminate the contract.
simple like, oh, but according to the law, nothing happened. It has to go further than that because
Like ethically,
yeah, ethically you have to understand like what you're doing and what you're dealing with here. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, and I will say like I'm going to be writing a piece, an Arsenal piece that I want to publish, and a large part of it is like why do I enjoy being an Arsenal fan? And at this point in time, I feel like their connection and their engagement with the fans is incredible. And you see them cutting ties with players like Aubameyang, who they didn't like the attitude of. You
mm,
see that kind of thing. And I really think Man United has an obligation here to do the right thing, you know.
yeah.
And I mean, we'll keep an eye on that. But let's quickly just hop back uh, to Chelsea, I would say.
Chelsea, Chelsea, I'll give it an 8. Purely
Eight.
because I'd like to see these players develop. I'd like to see them perform and see what they're all about. Like a large part of them, I didn't know too
Yep.
much about
Yep.
until they were announced, and then obviously you have your YouTube montages that are made. So give it an 8
Okay.
because they made the most of the situation.
Okay.
I think in their approach to it as well.
Yeah.
Similar to United, they found the loophole. They said, boom, fine. I'm going to
Yeah.
give you long contracts. Here's a 6 or 8 year contract.
Yeah.
See you through. Once we pass a certain number of years, then we can renegotiate
Yes.
what
Yes.
percentage you should get for your performance or goals or appearances, whatever it is.
Okay.
8 out of 10 for me for Chelsea.
Yeah, same. I don't even have to elaborate. I'd say I'd go
Nice.
8. I'd
And
go
then
8 as well.
the team that continues to buy and buy and buy and buy and buy and buy. And just when you think they've stopped buying, they buy another.
Uh-huh.
Nottingham Forest, I
Yeah.
think they're up to 23 players they've gotten in this season's, both the summer and the winter transfers. So
Yeah.
this time they got, I'm gonna give them a 10. I'm gonna give
You
them a
think
10.
so?
Purely for who they've managed to get in. Notably, I think the Navas deal was a really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
This is a man with tons of experience. You're talking a triple Champions League winner, back to back to back,
Yeah.
three-peat. This man is incredible. Bringing that level of experience to Nottingham Forest is a major statement. I think they managed to get John Shelby in as well.
They got him over the line.
I generally liked him as a player. I think he's kind of dipped down due to injuries or form or whatever it is, but a very astute DM kind of player, hard man, not afraid to go in for tackles, and also has the technical ability to make a range of passes. Quite similar to like a Xhaka, old Xhaka.
Yeah, old Xhaka. Don't disrespect
In being
Xhaka.
the hard man, still being able to play the ball really good with his feet. That kind of mold of player. I see they got, I think it's Felipe from Atletico Madrid.
Centre back, yeah.
The centre back. So lots of cover. And then the
Chris
most
Wood.
recent one was Ayew as well.
Okay, and they also got Chris Wood.
Yeah, from Newcastle.
And
so
Danilo. The centre mid.
Danilo. So with so many options to choose from, and these are guys who have come from either the Premier League, being Premier League mainstays at clubs, international experience in the Champions League. So once they get to the point where they can gel, not only the new players, but I think finding that balance between the existing kind of dressing room that brought them up to the Premier League and mixing and matching with
Yeah.
the new recruits. I think they should do well.
Yeah, it's going to take
But
some time.
I guess
But
time
yeah,
will tell.
I
Also.
think I agree.
Yeah.
And yes, Andre Ayew did go to Nottingham Forest.
Okay.
I think I'd also give them probably a 10 out of 10, considering like who they are as a team. You know, like if Arsenal had done this business, I would have been like, what is going on? This is the exact same business, but it's a different caliber team, right? And different goals
Yeah.
and different. I actually thought they were lower in the league than they are, but I see they are actually
I'm
13th.
also quite surprised.
So, yeah, I think it's good. It's good. I think if they achieve top half of the table this season, I think that'll be a good one for them. Yeah, and a few of them are loans, so they can chop and change as they go along. So that's good. I actually wanted to talk just quickly before we do the last few. I don't know if you realize Wolves had a very big transfer window as well. I think they flew under the radar because of Nottingham Forest, but they signed Mateus Cunha, that Brazilian striker. They signed Mario Lemina from Nice, who is also, I think, pretty decent. Pablo Sarabia, I think he's a right back or right wing or something like that. Craig Dawson, Daniel Bentley, who I don't actually know, and João Gomez from Flamengo. They had a pretty good one as well. Like I said,
I'd actually rate that also like a 9 and 10.
strong window.
Those are some quality players. Cunha's the one from Atletico. Sarabia, who was previously at PSG. And I think he went to Sporting on loan.
Yep.
Really good players. I mean, they are already quite recognizable names. And I heard a lot of hype around the João Gomez guy.
Yeah. So I think they did quite well. Yeah. So let's wrap up our last two. Quick word on Liverpool only getting Cody Gakpo in. Any comments? Anything you want to say?
I think there's a lot more to fix there besides transfers, man. I think the team in general just aren't on the same wavelength.
Klopp out?
And
You think
I don't
so?
know what's going on there. I think because of what he's done, I think he'll finish the season at least.
I think they should give him a chance to revamp that team. To be honest, I really do think they should give him a chance. Although I really don't like the guy, I think he complains about everything. It's ridiculous the excuses that he comes up with. But anyway, I think they owe him another season. Because I also saw interest. I don't know if it's all obviously speculation on social media, but like Salah to PSG for like 18 mil or something like that. There has to be some huge overhauls and some huge changes that need to happen, including I would say they should sell Salah personally. They actually should have sold him instead of Mane. But anyway, the way they disrespected our African brother Mane was filthy. But anyway, so yeah, I think they had a bit of a weak window. Cody Gakpo, I know he was linked to United, he was linked to Arsenal, and none of it happened.
Hot prospect.
Yeah, but
had a really good season pre-transfer, so let's see what they do. But I think, they need to. I think they need time. They need a break. Like this end of the season can't come fast enough for them to regroup, really sit down,
make a
chat
plan
through what's been going on, because they really look like a team that's deflated, no confidence whatsoever, and you still have so many notable players with great ability, and it's just not working out. So I think they need a proper sit down and regroup session.
And let's look.
City didn't really do much. I think the notable one was selling Cancelo. So I heard, as quick as that deal went on, that there was some, people call it bad blood, but there was some irritation between him and Pep and his staff. So he was quite vocal about his annoyance with not starting games. I think the game against United he didn't finish, the Chelsea game as well, and in the one of the recent games he was on the bench.
He wanted to play against Arsenal. Yeah, apparently he said if you don't play me against Arsenal, I'm leaving. Apparently, it's all hearsay.
Like, get me out of this club or something like that.
And if you don't, and then his wife tweeted something like, or Instagram something about, you're the best fullback in the world, you deserve the respect, blah blah blah. So
you don't have to prove yourself to anyone.
He went.
So I think it made sense to get him out of the team. A loan deal,
His
really good business.
agent did well, I would say, in that
Yeah,
scenario.
get him a notable club like that,
Mm.
Bayern Munich, and I mean he's jumped straight into the starting
Starting
lineup
team,
there. I
yeah.
think he got an assist on his debut in
Yeah.
the German Cup. So as a player, I think he's really good. I
Yeah.
think he offers a lot,
Yeah.
especially going forward. Defensively, could still use a bit of work, but I'm happy that he is getting game time, and I guess we'll assess the situation at the end of the
Yeah.
season.
There's
I think that they are light now, like very
Yeah.
light. Oof.
there's
The fact
a
that there wasn't,
but isn't
yeah,
there's a loan option, right? 70 million euro
yeah.
loan option. I'm not
There's
so
not any
sure.
obligation.
I don't no obligation. So I'm not sure if I actually see Bayern pulling the trigger on that. If you look at the spending
No,
patterns that Bayern gets away with murder. I don't know how they get the players
they
that they
do.
do at the
They
prices.
do. Yes, they have. They're such a well-run club.
Yeah.
If you tell me your market value is 50 mil, they'll offer you 20 mil,
And
and
they'll get
somehow
them.
you'll take the deal.
Yeah, and they
Yeah,
seem to get all
exactly.
these
So,
young prospects, Ryan, that
sure.
Gravenbach guy, they have that German sentiment. But yeah, I don't know if I see them exercising the purchasing, but if you look at the business that his agent managed to do, I think if he needs to leave, he will go somewhere. But you were saying that you feel as if you're a bit light now as a City squad?
Very light in the wing back positions. So obviously in the summer transfer there was Sergio Gomez that came in from Anderlecht. He's apparently not hit the ground running
I don't know if
and
I've even
is
seen him play.
finding it challenging. I think he's played like a few Carabao Cups.
Okay.
And I think the FA Cup. You have Rico Lewis who came from the academy. He's playing right back now in place of Cancelo and Walker when he does the inverted thing that Pep introduced. They make Ake play on the left. So there's no notable left back that's left-footed at all. All the academy prospects, they've been sent on loan. So I'd say if Ake gets injured, that's almost a major problem there, because now you're going to have a right-footed player playing on the left. So he says, look, Ake and Laporte can play a left back.
Yeah.
So we'll see the season. I'm just surprised that there wasn't a kind of short list pre the departure of Cancelo.
Yeah.
Someone that you had on your list from the summer window already. But yeah, this is the situation we find ourselves in. So very light in that regard. There's obviously the talks about Bernardo Silva wanting to leave. He
seems
back
unhappy,
to Portugal, Spain. Gundo's out of contract at the end of this season.
Yep.
So I think there's going to be quite a notable revamp to the City squad. I think minimal, there'll be a winger, probably a centre mid, and then a left back at the end of the season. So transfer window, I would say that it is a 2 out of 10.
Well, I think this is a nice moment to pivot into our predictions that we cast all the way back in episode 2 in the early days of the Big Vibe. When we did our first Premier League show or predictions. So let's start with our relegations. Both of us said Nottingham, Leicester, and Bournemouth would be the teams going down. It looks like we were wrong in that regard. I think we got Bournemouth right. Well, not right, because only halfway through the season, but they are currently 18th. 19th, Everton. 20th is Southampton. Would you like to change your teams that are going down?
Okay, I'm going to swap out. So we said Bournemouth, Forest,
Nottingham, and Leicester.
I'm going to take Leicester out.
Okay.
I'm going to leave Forest there, unfortunately.
You think Nottingham going down?
I do.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Do I keep Saints there? Ooh. I'll put Saints in place of Leicester.
So you think
Bournemouth,
Forest?
No. I'll put Everton in there.
Everton. So the bottom three now are going out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so Forest, Everton, and Bournemouth.
Forest, Everton. So you think Southampton will survive?
Just. I feel Southampton have a better chance of survival than Everton. I don't know
Okay.
what's going on at Everton, man.
It's apparently the ownership. So you think Sean Dyche can't do it?
No, I
You
don't think
don't?
he saves them. I don't
Okay.
think he saves them. Yourself?
Okay. I think Southampton. Sure. This is actually a difficult scenario.
No?
I think Bournemouth, Everton, and I don't know why you still think Nottingham will go down. And I don't think a season where West Ham and Everton going down will happen, to be honest with you.
I don't see that happening either.
I think Bournemouth, Everton, and that's a tough one. Bournemouth, Everton, and let me just say maybe Leeds. Maybe Leeds.
Oof. So
Yeah,
Saints stay up.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know why. There's something about them that's I don't know. I
Okay.
think they'll be okay. But let's revisit it. It's actually difficult to be honest. I don't really watch much of
Yeah.
teams play, to be honest. Okay, and then our
And then your
top
top
four.
four. Yes. Remind
I
us what
had
your top four was.
my top four was City, Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea in that order. City, Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea.
Not a bad shot, actually. Not a bad shot.
Yeah.
Any amendments to that?
Yes, I think Arsenal is going to win the league.
I love the confidence. Okay, good. So Arsenal win it,
if we beat you at Emirates, I think
then it's done deal.
not done, but
But
it will
that's
be
the confidence that you need. That's your marker.
yes, it'll be a huge
Okay.
message, and I'm so happy that the first game is at Emirates and not at the Etihad. I'm really happy about that because I think it will mean so much to us to beat you in that sense. But yes, I'm
Yeah.
going to change it. So I'm going actually, I think the top four as it is now will stay. No, I don't think it will stay. I think it'll be Arsenal, City, United, Newcastle.
Oof.
Top
Okay,
four.
so Newcastle's back in Champions League.
I think
Very
they will
interesting.
be. I think they
Very
will be.
interesting. Okay. Bold.
Okay, so who was your top
And
four?
quick side note: the
Oh, yeah,
loss in the FA Cup doesn't mean anything because there were so many changes to the team.
To Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest with you, I don't think we have the squad to have competed in the FA Cup, Europa, and in the Premier League. I know a lot of people will say you should fight for the FA Cup, and I know people will say I'm only saying this because we lost. But I actually think it was beneficial to Arsenal not to progress and to go out the way we did, in the sense of we made 6 changes. We lost 1-0 to a goal that I feel was exceptionally good. It's almost like there was not. Maybe you can nitpick here and there about the defense, but Ake's placement of that doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
To be honest, and I kind of feel like we had our fair share of chances. When I watched, I could hear the Arsenal fans at the City Stadium. Everything about it, other than result, felt good to me as an Arsenal fan. I really did feel like that. So
Okay.
I don't think that loss is going to be. If we got whacked, let's say you beat us like 4-0, it would have been different, right? Even though it's a different tournament. But the fact that we actually walked out of that stadium with our heads held high, I think. What do you think? You think it's going to impact anything? And also, sorry, one more thing. You saying that the squad being light and now adding in games is exactly the problem I was worried about for Arsenal. And you as a City fan, if you're saying that's a concern, for me, that makes me happy because it means that anything can happen in these other games. You have to rotate in Champions League. We have a little less obligation to play all the stars all the time. Whereas if Pep doesn't win Champions League, there's going to be big questions. I think he's got a lot of pressure there, and I think that pressure is going to spill into the league. It's the season. It's those kinds of factors together that I think have set us up for the potential to take this one. What about you about that FA Cup result?
I think it was just a nice statement. I just wanted to have a bit of silence there on the red end.
Remind us
of
who we
London, guys. It was just for your, and I like the fact that it is your cup. Essentially, I get told a lot that it is the Emirates Arsenal Cup. So the fact that you guys are out of your tournament is a nice pat on the back. In terms of what it means for the league, I don't think it means too much. I don't think it has any factor there.
Uh-huh.
Just something for us to chat about and to kind of hang over you guys just for the short term. I think league-wise, I think it's, like I said in, I don't know what episode it was, the fact that Arsenal is top makes it very interesting. I like the fact that it is lively now. It's almost, there's some excitement now. I think City is generally the team that have been in this position. I think in the notable races with Liverpool, previous seasons, they've shown that even when Liverpool were top at Christmas, at New Year's, they were still the ones that were able to come back and win the league. So that plays in our favour. I do think, though, that Arsenal win the league. Arsenal win the league by 4 points.
Okay.
I do think so. So my top four will be Arsenal, then City. I can't believe I said Spurs are going to be finished second. I must have been at some heavy dwellums at the time. But Arsenal first, City second, third, probably United third. Fourth, do Newcastle have the legs? Newcastle fifth. Chelsea come back to finish fourth.
You think?
Spurs finish sixth.
Okay. I mean, to be fair to Chelsea, let's just actually remind the listeners, Tev's predictions at the beginning of the season was City.
Was shambles. My gosh.
City, Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal. Okay. To be fair, I think everybody thinks Chelsea's so much further behind than they actually are. They actually are only, at this point in time, 6 points off of fifth place Tottenham. Played one more game than United and are 9 points behind United. So it's not the craziest thing to say that they'll fetch Newcastle. But Newcastle does look solid. I'm not going to lie. They look like a solid team.
Very exciting. And it's nice to see. Again, everyone gets their time in the sun, man. As the richest club in the world, they've done really good business too. And Eddie Howe just has him playing really fluid football as a neutral. So if I'm watching Newcastle play some random team, let's say it's Newcastle versus Bournemouth, I'm going to watch it because Newcastle are playing entertaining football. So credit to them. I think they definitely going to be playing in Europe, whether that be Champions League or Europa. But so you guys probably just snake the league.
I'll be so stoked,
If
man.
not, I'm gonna rant. And I'm gonna rave. So
fair play.
But I'll give Arsenal credit, and because my wife is an Arsenal fan, I think it's time, man. 20 years, you guys have been through the gulag. You guys have been through a lot, bruh. So,
but I don't want I don't want any of this attitude of like, 20 years we had to let you win it. Beating City
No.
Beating City to it with Haaland is, I think, notable. And I really do feel that because it was always City is amazing, and the last piece of the puzzle is that they need a striker who can score goals, and he's incredible, and he really is. And beating this City team is not an easy thing to do. I know they are in a phase of not rebuilding, but they are in a phase where I think that in the past they've had more stability within their team, albeit that they didn't have the same strike force. I still think this is a very difficult City team to beat over the length of a whole season. And to be honest with you, at the beginning of the season, if you asked me what I would have wanted for Arsenal, it would have been, I just want to get back into Champions League this season, and then we reboot and we continue building. And where we are right now versus our expectations, I mean, there's just so much you like about us at the moment. So
guys doing well. I do think you got it. I do think you win the league. And
it's early though.
Similar to what Pep said, I do think that this season there's just a lot of complacency in City's team.
It does feel like that,
You've won so much.
Yeah.
4 in 5 years is an incredible thing. And I think you do get used to, there's a certain level of expectation of City. You almost think they're going to walk the league every single year. It's like, it's fine. It's Fulham. They're playing Everton. It's fine. They're going to win. And then you draw to Everton, you get a last gasp winner against Fulham. So
Yeah.
you lose to Saints in your own cup.
Yeah.
It's one of those things,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I do think, and Arsenal has definitely proven their worth this season. So I do think, yeah, Arsenal win it. If we win Champions League, that would be a highlight
Yeah.
season for me, because then everyone in the household is happy. So
Yeah.
let's hope for the best this season. Yeah, it
Any
plays out.
plans to, last point on this, any plans to try and go to any of the Champions League second round matches, like home
Say again?
fixtures? Do you have any plans to go to any of the home fixtures, the City Champions
So
League
I'll
fixtures?
see if I can get onto their cup schemes. So before the season starts, I think there was a restriction on who can apply for cup schemes.
Okay.
Normally, it's the season ticket holders that get a lot of this availability for cup schemes. But if we can, then I'd definitely look to get a game in there.
What about secondary market tickets? Expensive.
I'll look on the black market, but
Okay.
yeah, people put up prices, man. Like, woo, you don't even want to know what people value their tickets. But I definitely look into that, and I'll keep you guys posted with that. That'll be
Nice
sick.
one. Nice one. I think this week you're gonna wrap us up with a nice little wholesome moment that you found.
Yeah. So, in the world of wholesomeness, we're always encouraging people to play their part, help the next person, and do anything that you have in your means to help your neighbor, you know?
Yep.
And we came across a story, or a video actually, by the notable YouTuber Mr. Beast.
Yep.
And what he did is that he cured 1,000 blind people, so to speak, in the headline. He allowed them to see for the first time. So
Lovely.
if you know Mr. Beast, you'd know that he is one that loves to give back to his community and a lot of his subscribers, and he generally gives either monetary prizes, he gives out cars, he gives out a lot as part of using his platform for good.
Yeah.
And this week he had paid for 1,000 blind people surgery to have sight for the first time. So the story goes that he's rebuilt homes for Kentucky tornado survivors and given 20,000 to random selected people in need as part of his previous signs and gestures for a lot of his community. And this time he paid for a simple 10-minute eye surgery for 1,000 patients who could not afford it, giving them their vision back and helping others see clearly for the first time in years. On top of that, he also gifted various things to participants in the video, including a $50,000 college fund check and a brand new Tesla.
Oh.
So, man, that is incredible to see the kind of work that Mr. Beast is doing. Big credit to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and we love seeing the outpouring of good deeds that you continue to do.
Well, I know that the wholesome moment wasn't necessarily related to football, but I think it actually kind of fits in the theme of like the big money and stuff that we're talking about when we're talking about the spending of these teams, and like Shakhtar Donetsk giving back to the Ukraine. And yeah, man, it's lovely to see. Big up to Mr. Beast. I won't say we love you for doing it, because I'm not delusional and think that Mr. Beast watches the Big Vibe yet. Maybe one day, you never know. But yeah, big up, man. Big up. I think that's really cool and a really nice moment. Really nice point to leave it off here. I would say just my goodbye message is going to be to remember to look out for our question of the week that we'll be posting again. We really are happy with the growth in engagement. We're trying to get more onto the YouTube Shorts, which is looking quite good at this point in time.
Tasty.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. Remember, always like, share, subscribe. We stopped actually saying that in the middle of the episode.
No, you're becoming
complacent.
Professional, yeah, man. Just letting the visuals do their own thing, yeah.
Do the work.
Yeah, we've obviously got the link to all of our channels below. We want to say thanks again for the engagement, like Tyler said. All of you that answered the question in the previous episode, yeah, big thanks to that. We hear you, we see you, and we're looking to include a lot more of your responses in our podcast. So for now, say thank you, and we'll see you at the next one.
See you next week, guys.